Okay, thank you, David La and Ben La and Shahala, Liwarala, Gilala, and here we have um, Kochindela, and we have Dinziramela. Okay, so what we're talking about thus far is that the to make it to have the blueprint of what we are expected to practice is finally not as a religious dogma, but as what are you seeking? I'm seeking to stay away from miseries and to have the maximum happiness. This is the main goal. With this in mind, what helps us? Do you have the potential to experience that? The answer is yes. We have the potential to experience that, which is known as Buddha nature. So if that you have the potential, why are you not experiencing it? Because that this Buddha nature is obscured by the mental defilements. And what kind of mental defilements? Afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. To make it very simple, self-grasping, ignorance, and self-centered attitude. So this is what we have done thus far. And now the verse number 22nd. Okay, now verse number 22nd. This is the panacea to all our problems. For example, in the texts, various texts like Pramana Vartika and Acharya Chandrakirti's text, Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life by Bodhisattva Shantideva, we see that there are various the remedies given to overcome the respective mental defilements, like for attachment, the impurities, meditative on impurities, for anger, meditation on compassion, for ignorance, meditation on the dependent origination, and so forth were given, and the panacea to all these the problems, like the master key. Individual doors have their respective keys, but then they should have the master key to open all the doors. Likewise, the master key to eradicate all the mental defilements is the wisdom of emptiness. So, with this in mind, I got information from Benla that at the end of this session, we're going to have 15 minutes question and answer session. And if you have questions, please bring them up. The last 15 minutes, and our Tenzin, the Ramayana, will remind me of that matter. Okay, so the panacea to remove all the problems. We need to, number one, we need to remember that the metaphor that I usually give is like the iceberg in Arctic Circle. 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, if somebody's there, you may get a feeling that, oh, this is an eternally strong iceberg. And so iceberg is like the foundation for all what you stacked on top of this, whether you built igloos or whether you built the skyscrapers, whatever you built on this iceberg. After 2,000 years, now in 2024, due to global warming, now the icebergs melt, the foundation melts. When the foundation melts, whatever is being stacked on the iceberg, they will all crumble down. Likewise, the foundation for all our miseries is the iceberg, like the foundation of all our miseries is the self-grasping ignorance. So on top of this, then the inappropriate attention, afflictions, contaminant karmas, they're all stacked on this. And then miseries ensue. So where we're able to dismantle this iceberg, like the self-grasping ignorance, then all what is stacked on this, the inappropriate attention, afflictions, contaminant karmas, and miseries all will crumble down. And of course, say no matter how difficult a situation that we are in, whatever situation, be it your mistake or somebody else's mistake and so forth, at least you can protect yourself from the mental unease or mental disturbance. We can protect us from this by the understanding of this, by acquiring this the panacea to eradicate this foundation for all the miseries. So what is that panacea? For example, in the dream, we have nightmares, where so much of the fear in the dream, being chased by the leopards, lions, ghosts, and so forth. Sometimes pleasant dreams, unpleasant dreams, totally unpredictable what kind of dreams that we experience. And then you are fed up with the dreams. So how should we get away from the crisis, the pains that we get in the dream? If exhausted by the nightmare, by the pains of the dream, what should we do? Wake up. That's a panacea. We don't have to deal with the individual cases in the dream. Just wake up. Everything in the dream stops. All the misery stops. This is the wisest approach. So now verse number 22 is teaching us the panacea to overcome all the problems. And the panacea is to eradicate the self-grasping ignorance. How to eradicate the self-grasping ignorance? For example, say anger. Okay, anger will harm you. Just think of the demerits, anger subsides. But for self-grasping ignorance, simply by thinking of the demerits will not subside the self-grasping. It must be proven that it is distorted mind, that you must be able to see that the object as apprehended by self-grasping ignorance is distorted. It doesn't exist. It is only through bringing about cognitive transformation. You have to fix the cognitive error. And otherwise, like, okay, don't have anger. The anger, your blood pressure will shoot up, and then you have, your problems. Then think about the merits, demerits, then you can subside anger. But for this self-grasping, however much you may say that, oh, with self-grasping ignorance, samsara will ensue, all problems arise. If you don't put effort in how the self-grasping ignorance is cognitively erroneous, there's no way by which we can eradicate the self-grasping ignorance. So what it says here, 22, is all appearances are your own mind, and mind itself primordially transcends all mental fabrications. Knowing this, and to remain free from apprehending the signs of subject and object, is the practice of a bodhisattva. It's very profound teaching. So here we see that it has two elements mentioned here. And the first one is how that all what we experience, they are nothing but technically referred to as the radiance of one's own mind. For example, the dream. These are all nothing but the radiance, manifestations of one's own mind. You fall asleep and then the mind projects the things. They're nothing but a part of your own mind. So likewise, we see green. One, because the light is required, the green leaves. And then other, you should have the receptor in the retina, the brain, to process the green color. You require that. If these factors within the brain part, the mind is absent, you will not see green. And if the light there, if the green light is not reflected in your eyes, again you will not see green. So it's by dependence on these many factors that the green appears. So it's, in a way, it is like the manifestation of one's mind as a green, white, yellow, beautiful, not beautiful, house, person, and so forth. These are the manifestations of one's own mind. This one is the radiance of one's own mind. This is one part. The next part is even this mind, which is like the source of all the objects, the radiant which is actually this mind. Even this mind is like a dream. Even this mind that doesn't exist as object real. This is also like an illusion. So two levels are there. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teaching on the composition, I would say, composition on the prayer to proliferate the Buddha Dharma of all the Tibetan traditions. So there, with respect to the Kagyu tradition, His Holiness, they taught about how everything's the radiance of one's own mind, and this mind itself, being devoid of objective reality, is the great Mahamudra. This is what the His Holiness taught, and this is exactly what is being taught here by the Venerable Geshe Thomas Sampo. All appearances are your own mind, meaning that they're the radiance of one's own mind. So here, this is not talking about emptiness. It's not talking about emptiness, and the closest this understanding can be closer to the Chitta philosophy, which means that they are not the radiance of one's own mind. And yet, is it acceptable? 100% acceptable. But it's not talking about emptiness according to Prasangika. So this is the first level. That what would we, for example, say in a very common sense, they say person A, and they say you have a new the employee or officer coming to to join your office, and then your friend gives you a very bad feedback. Oh, this person A who's joining your office, he's very nasty, she's very nasty, this, so forth. And the moment you have never seen that person, and the person comes and the person greets you, and then you just feel so uneasy, and you see something wrong with that person. It's purely your mental projection. Pure mental projection on the basis of the biased information that you get from your friend. And later on, with a span of like a few months, a few years, you come to know there's nothing wrong with this person. This person is so gentle, so kind, so genuine. And so what my friend said is very wrong. So later on, you may come to know that your friend is actually the one who has the problem. But it can influence us. So it's a projection of mind. So the characteristics of the objects, we see them as the attributes of a mind. Now, not only the characteristics characterized, object which has been characterized, even the object which has been characterized by these characteristics, if in these objects per se the flower is nice, not nice, is one thing, then the flower per se is also the radiance of one's own mind. When you know that, still it is not understanding of emptiness. This is a very gross level of understanding how the world is nothing but a play of the radiance of one's mind. And to go a little deeper, to go a little more subtler, we see that you close the eyes and you see things still in the daytime. You see that something light is there. Even this also, say, the manifestation of one's own mind. Your mind is creating it. And that's quite subtle. Of course, not as subtle as emptiness, but it's quite subtle. Even what we see is blue, right? Daytime, nighttime, even the night. Even this also radiance of one's own mind. The dark thing in night, totally blank and dark, pitch dark. You close the eyes, open your eyes, no difference. It's pitch dark. So you see, well, what do you see? You see something dark. Even that is also the radiance of one's own mind. So to understand this, if you really get conviction that this is very true, what I'm saying is just a play of my own mind. The word is radiance. For example, if you want to say paint, they say paint a person, and the person's hair you want to paint it black, you have to paint it. So this should be paint there to black. Even the black is also radiance, like the paint of one's own mind. This amazing, this very profound concept. Now the next part is even this mind which paints everything, whose radiance is manifest in the form of all these, the whole universe. Even this mind is empty of true existence. It's like a dream, it's like illusion. So then how do we know that? How can I get this conviction? This requires to be studied more, reflect, and so since that we don't have much time, I'm expecting some questions from you. So I'm not going to go into detail of this part. So it says, verse number 22, all appearances of good, bad, trees, house, food, friends, all these appearances are your own mind, the radiance of one's own mind. And then the mind, which is like the source of all these things, whose radiance manifests seen in the form of all these things, even this mind is also primordially transcends all mental fabrication, meaning that it transcends mental fabrication, meaning transcends the projection, the projection of his own intrinsic nature. Or the mind is empty of intrinsic nature. It is like illusion. The mind itself primordially transcends all mental fabrications, meaning mental projections, which means it appears as mind. For example, if you learn how to observe the mind, you observe the mind, and even this mind that you're experiencing, even this is also like illusion. Knowing this and to remain free from apprehending. So therefore you are left with, in the eyes of ultimate analysis, you see that there's nothing to be identified as intrinsically this or that. So you're free from any form of entanglement. When the ghost comes in a dream, you see, you identify something goes there, which can come in contact, you will be done, you'll be killed. So there's some objective reality there attacking you. So that creates problem. When you're able to dissolve all this objective, or intrinsic appearance of intrinsic reality, there's nothing you will see as intrinsic reality. Then you are totally free. That is the fearlessness. The fearlessness meaning that with the fear, oh, I may lose my job, I may have illness, or COVID may hit me. Okay, back in 2020, 2021, COVID may hit me, and so forth. There's a fear that there's some object there which would target, which would attack me. So this objective, the intrinsic reality, something there hitting me, and intrinsic reality of a self which is being hit. So when you see that there's no intrinsic thing hitting me, there's no intrinsic thing being hit, you are relieved, you are total free, nothing to affect you. Then the fears dissolve. This is known as fearlessness. Okay. Knowing this and to remain free from apprehending the signs of subject and object. This is the object. I'm the subject. This subject-object duality. When you see that there's nothing really intrinsically real from the object. For example, like watching a movie, watching a very scary movie in a movie theater. So say you are watching a movie here, and you are watching, and the projector is behind you, and imagine that you are a little girl or a little boy, very little child, and you see that scary ghost movie. You're so scared, and you will cover you hide your face. You will hide your face from the screen. You will not hide your face from the projector. Actually, the movie is coming from the projector, not from the screen. But you think that is coming from the screen. And you hide your face from the screen, thinking that is coming from the screen as subjective real. But as you become older, you come to know that this is just coming from the projector. I'm not really scared. It's just a movie projected from the projector. What is on the screen? There's nothing really there. It's just light is being played there. And actually, even this light is coming from the projector. When you know that there's nothing really from object from there, your fears dissolve. Okay. So what is in the dream, you see in watching the movie, you see that is the movie object that I'm watching, and my mind is the subject which I am watching it. Or like the movie projects a subject which is projecting the dream, the project movie, and the movie is there on the screen as the object which I'm watching. Object subject duality is there when you're in the dream. The moment you wake up, object subject duality of the dream stops. So there's nothing, there's an object to create fear in you. There's nothing there's you of the dream to feel the fear. So you are totally free of all the fears, total freedom from the fears. Knowing this and remain free from apprehending the signs of subject and object is the practice of Bodhisattva. 23. Okay. Now, when do the emotions, the foundation of all these destructive emotions, afflictions, is a self-grasping ignorance, and of course self-centered attitude complementing it. And so when the emotions arise on the grosser level, so how do they rise? They arise through what is known as, in the form of what is known as the 8 mundane concerns. 8 mundane concerns. So this is amazingly so wisely summarized how our emotions are being, how our mind is being, they say, thrown into the chaos loss, of mental disturbance by these 8 mundane concerns. What are the 8 mundane concerns? Number 1, becoming excited over getting material things, becoming so demoralized over losing material things, gain and loss. Then the praise and the defamation. Somebody praises you, you are so happy. Somebody defames you, you feel so bad, so down. Fame and defamation. And then pleasant words and unpleasant words. Talk something nonsense, garbage, gossip. We are so happy. And something very sensible. You feel your eyelashes double folded. So this is, say, being excited about the gossips, meaningless talks, and the feeling so demoralized over the hearing and what you don't want to hear. And then finally, say when you're happy, you're excited. When you're sad, you feel so demoralized. So material gains and material loss, fame and defamation, and the pleasant words and unpleasant words, and then finally happiness and miseries. So there our mind in fluctuated goes into the toast into, say, the turbulence. So these 8 are known as mundane concerns. If we are being affected by these 8 mundane concerns, we are weak. If we remain very strong in the face of these potential 8 mundane concerns, that we are not affected, we are evolved in your spiritual journey. We are going closer towards our goal of fearlessness and infinite happiness. Okay. 23. When you encounter objects that please your mind, like rainbows in the summer season, though they seem beautiful, not to view them as real. They're all dependent originated. They're not real. They're all empty object reality. And to give up attachment to them is a practice for Bodhisattva. 24. All suffering, the opposite of the happiness, is the suffering. Now 24, the suffering. When suffering befalls on us, all suffering is like the death of your child in a dream. To take such delusive appearances as true, how exhausting. Therefore, whenever you encounter unpleasant circumstances, to see them as deception is a practice for Bodhisattva. Okay, so like suffering, I personally would say yes, Israelis, Palestinians, and then everywhere in the world, even domestic violence, there's so much of pain, sufferings. So just to share my personal life story, say when I was just 5 years old, I lost my mother. The pain for a child losing the mother, very affectionate mother, is so agonizing. And then I've been always craving that I should see my mom. Like till age 18, 19, 20, just craving to see my mom. If I can just have a glimpse, even if I can have a photograph of my mom, that'd be amazing. I actually struggled to ask the elders if I can get the photograph of my mom. No. Most likely that in the community where my family belongs, and there's some kind of tradition, practice that if somebody passed away or something related to the person, including photographs, to be burned. Very sad. What a big loss. So these are extreme. Okay. Anyway, I would say big loss for a small child. Even the memory is gone, and this is very sad. But then from a broader picture. Okay, so now I'm reflecting more on the Buddha's teachings, all encompassing impermanent. Your mom cannot live for 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years. Even your mom will go away. Even you will also go away. This is a reality. By contemplating more on this, and then and of course the practice of Bodhicitta, but this then you encounter with, you meet with the people, and then you know that, okay, this is a beautiful meeting, and even this will also disappear. Impermanence, yes. In few days, in few months, few years, again people rotate, they disappear. Tibet House staff, they come, then they are promoted, and there is some position after a while, then they leave, again new staff comes. This impermanence is so good to reflect on impermanence. And then earlier, I used to have this craving that I must meet my mom. At least if I can see my mom's face on the photograph. And then nowadays, it's very different. I say, for example, particularly I would say that with the Dharma, with the people in Dharma, that is way easier. People in Dharma, so they are more matured. Like all of you, you do Dharma, you are mature, you know how to be self-sufficient, to follow the Dharma, and then remove your mental defilements, make your Buddha nature manifest, and experience the infinite happiness, fearlessness. Then what about those people who are not into Dharma? For example, I go to say the like 2015, I think, when I was in the what is that, Jambi, Indonesia, where the Lama Selingpa, the whose teachings were brought by Lama Atisha to Tibet, and then through all these great masters to His Holiness Dalai Lama, we receive these teachings. So the source, original source, Buddha Shakyamuni, then the Arya Maitreya, Arya Manjushri, and then eventually boiled down to the Arya Nagarjuna, then the all these great Arya Sangha, and so forth, and then Lama Selingpa. And when I was there, okay, today I missed that rosary, or it must be on my table. Okay, they say there, we went there to pay respect to Lama Selingpa, because of whom we have received the teaching of Bodhicitta. And we went there, met him, we talked to him, and then what is left there? Nothing, just some ruins there. And then even the people, the archaeological site, that the staff who were taking care of the government staff officials, who were taking their very young boys, girls, we asked them about Lama Selingpa, they had no clue. They had no clue. They just said Lama Selingpa, Atisha, that's it. And beyond that, they do not do anything. And then do they practice the teachings of this great teacher who was actually from that place? Perhaps their own ancestors. No, they don't practice. So I meet them. Oh, I feel so sorry that if the Lama Disha, his teachings thrive all the way down till today, these people who are now serving as the staff of the archaeology or the museum there, they would at least have Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharma Sharanam Gacchami. Now nothing, zero. Then I feel so sad. And then there was one boy there, who must be in his 21, 22, working there as a staff. And he saw me first time, and the next time we went there, meaning that within this 10-day retreat. At the second time we paid the visit there, so there was something in this boy. This boy became like, he says he just wanted to give something to me, and he didn't know what to give. And finally, what he had this bracelet made of the ordinary ordinary seeds, and that too not very polished, very crude, and the seeds and tied together, and he has this, and then he became, just from his face I could see that he was just feeling this some kind of connection or just something. And I was watching him, and it really moved me, it touched me. And then he removed his bracelet and gave it to me. There's a big blessing for me from Lama Atisha through this young boy, a Muslim boy. So I cherish this. It is still with me. I use it every day for my prayers. I use that to remember this boy, that this boy is not connected with Dharma, 100%, not Dharma. But I have a moral responsibility. All these beings, and then will I see him again? We never know. Most likely not. In this life, not. So I pray that, okay, so this is now what is happening. Although we're going to separate, maybe in this life we're not going to see once more, but never mind. So I'll always keep you in my mind, and let us all go towards Buddhahood together. This is my aspiration. So likewise, say this is how we can think of. So from a broader picture. Okay, 24. All suffering is like the death of a child in a dream. To take such delusive appearances as true, how exhausting. Therefore, whenever you encounter unpleasant circumstances, to see them as deceptions in the practice of Bodhisattva. This is about the wisdom of emptiness. And of course, there are other ways to understand this, and seeing this, the loss, what's the pain like? And then you can empathize with the other beings. Not only that, say the suffering related to this person, but they say the suffering can happen with anything. So from this, I take it as a lesson, and say this suffering is because of this self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. As long as I don't remove these two, sufferings continue. So taking a lesson out of this suffering, then you try to work on this to remove the future suffering by seeing the demerits of the self-cherishing and self-grasping ignorance. Okay, and then directly to see the emptiness, instantly the pains will disappear. Instantly. 25. If those who aspire to enlightenment. Okay. So now 25 down is more with respect to after somebody having generated bodhicitta. Generated bodhicitta meaning, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is bodhicitta. So what do we do after making this commitment? What should I do? May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. What should I do to become Buddha? Practice the 6 perfections and practice the 4 perfections. Total 10 perfections. And then any other things to enrich your knowledge, enrich your compassion, enrich your power. The power, knowledge, and compassion. So from here is the 6 perfections. 25. If those who aspire to enlightenment willingly give up their bodies, what needs is to mention material objects. Therefore, with no hope of reward or benefit, to give with generosity is a practice of Bodhisattva. First, generosity, the perfection of generosity. Second, the perfection of ethics or the discipline. If lack of discipline prevents you from benefiting yourself, then your wish to benefit others is just a joke. Therefore, to observe discipline of refraining from harming others, with no longing for worldly existence, is the practice of a bodhisattva, discipline. Next is a patience. For a bodhisattva who seeks the wealth of virtue, every perpetrator who makes you lose your patience, who makes you feel agitated, every perpetrator of harm is like a precious treasure. Treasure meaning? Treasure is something from which you get the benefit. So that person, the perpetrator, helps us to build our resilience, build our practice of the patience. So practice of patience is so important. This is one of the greatest of treasures, one of the 6 treasures known as the 6 perfections. So therefore, without feeling irritation towards any, to cultivate patience is the practice of a bodhisattva. Next, the practice of enthusiasm, joyous effort. If Shravakas and Pratik Buddhas who strive for their benefit alone exert efforts as if to extinguish a fire burning all their heads, to cultivate joyous effort or enthusiasm, the wellspring of the positive qualities. With joyous effort, all your virtues will just proliferate. The positive qualities is the practice of a bodhisattva. Next is a meditative concentration. Okay, so from, they say the perfection 1 through to 4, generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiasm, 1 through to 4, these two make our mind very fertile. Make a mind very fertile, ready to grow healthy crops. So what are you going to plant? What do you do with this? I'm going to plant, your mind has become extremely healthy, your mind is extremely fertile. What are you going to plant in this? I want to plant the wisdom, The wisdom to eradicate mental defilements. So what is that wisdom? This wisdom should have two qualities. This wisdom should have two qualities. Like for example, say in dark we cannot read the books. So to read books, we need the light. In dark, we need light. So this light should have two qualities. One, you burn the candle. If the candle light is so feeble, it does not serve the purpose for you to read the books. You cannot see the letters. And even if the light is so bright, but from the corner of the room, if there's a wind blowing and the light is so flickering, again, even though the light is so bright, it will strain your eyes. So this light, not only it should be bright, it must be very steady. So this wisdom should be extremely bright, extremely sharp, and also that it should be extremely steady. So this is the crop that you're going to plant in the fertile land of your mind. So for this, the perfection number 5 and perfection number 6. Perfection number 5 is the samadhi to make the wisdom steady. And then the perfection number 6 is the wisdom, the intelligence, very sharp wisdom to know the reality as it is. So 29 is the samadhi, or the steadiness of the mind, the shamatha part. 29. Special insight, perfectly endowed with shamatha, completely conquers all afflictions. Knowing this and cultivating meditative concentration that transcends the four formless states is a practice for bodhisattva. Knowing this and cultivating meditative concentration, which is shamatha, single-pointedness, that transcends the four formless states. Four formless states here refers to, say, the whole samsara is divided into 3 groups: desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. And the form realm is also divided into 4, refers to 4 concentrations. First concentration, second concentration, third and fourth concentration. And the formless realm is also divided into 4 formless states. 4 formless states: the infinite space, infinite consciousness, vacuity, and the peak of existence. 4. So these form all these, the 4 concentrations of the form realm and the 4 formless states. So these are all the explained or categorized on the basis of the refinedness of your meditative concentration. So progressively it becomes finer and finer. So if you just purely meditate, purely practice the formulas, yes, you can attain that. But without the wisdom, it does not have the capacity to cut the root of samsara. So the bodhisattva should be practicing these various samadhis, complemented by the vipassana or the special insight focus on emptiness. Then it becomes very powerful, way more powerful than the people who have otherwise attained these 4 formless states. For example, like the Buddha's own 2 teachers, Acharya Alara Kalam, who attained the vacuity, the third of the formless realm, and Acharya Udrega, the second teacher, who attained the final of the formless realm, which is the peak of existence. They both attain these 2, but they don't get the meditative concentration to cut the self-grasping ignorance, to cut the root of the samsara. So because of which, then the Buddha left to look for the complete path with 6 years of austerity, and finally found the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so let me read this once more. The special insight, which is the wisdom or the vipassana. But the vipassana here, the vipassana taught here, and the vipassana which is the commonly being practiced 10-day vipassana course, these are very different. 10-day vipassana course is very good, but these 2 cannot be seen as the same. These 2 are different. So simply because of the same label doesn't mean that these 2 are the same. Many people can easily be confused. Okay, with the same label, different meanings, how people are confused. Let me share. So many of you already heard it, but still I like to share this if there are 1 or 2 who do know this. Once there was the monk teacher and a monk student. And the monk teacher had no idea about all these computers, very traditional. And the monk student exposed to the digital world computer. But the monk student was so cautious, wanted to know if he can use the emails. So he checked with his teacher, sir, can the monks use emails? And the teacher had no idea what is email. So the teacher said that the safest thing to say is that, okay, you can use the emails as long as there's no attachment. So what the teacher said, attachment, and what the student understands attachment in the context of the email is very different. It's the same word, but the meaning is very different. For the teacher, attachment is a desire. For the student, attachment is attachment. They're going to attach with the letter, with the email. So teacher said that as long as there's no attachment, it's fine. You can send the emails. If the student is not smart, then he may keep on, using the emails without attaching any email attachments, right? So which means that it's the same label, but the different meanings. Likewise, Vipassana, in the context of the 10-day Vipassana course, which is very popular, which is very good, versus the Vipassana mentioned here, special insight mentioned here, these two are very different. It's the same word, but a very different meaning. So special insight, perfectly endowed with shamatha, completely conquers all afflictions. So here the special insight focus on emptiness, endowed with shamatha or complemented by shamatha, is the one which can completely conquer all afflictions. Knowing this and thus cultivating meditative concentration, shamatha, that transcends the four formless states. So this particular shamatha, blend with the special insight, the vipassana, focus on emptiness, which transcends the ordinary four formless states, is the practice of a bodhisattva. 30. Now to find the wisdom of the six perfections. The practice of the first five perfections, but without the wisdom of emptiness, cannot achieve perfect enlightenment. Equipped with the skillful means and cultivating wisdom of non-conceptualizing the three spheres. Three spheres meaning, say, the actor, object, and the act. Actor, object, and the act. Or subject, object, and the act which connects the subject and object. Three spheres. For example, with the generosity, the benefactor, beneficiary, and the act of benefiting. The three. So, for example, the game, the player, and the act of playing. These three are known as the three spheres. With any action, there are three spheres involved. And non-conceptualizing, meaning that seeing these three spheres as empty of the true existence on the non-conceptual level, is a practice of a bodhisattva. 31. If you do not, okay, now on the say now in a day-to-day life, what should I be doing in a day-to-day life? This is amazing, precious the advice given to us. If you do not analyze your own faults, rather than, at times we become so good at pointing to other people, oh, that person is supposed to be Dharma practitioner, but look at this person supposed to be Dharma practitioner, but look at this, it's just so like we are assigned, we come to Dharma centers to check on other people. No, we have to check ourselves. We have to scrutinize ourselves. We have to scan ourselves, right? So this is what we should be doing. If you do not analyze your own faults, you might put on the dharmic facade while behaving in a non-dharmic way. Therefore, to continually analyze for your faults and then putting effort to discard them is the practice of a bodhisattva. So precious advice. 32. If compelled by your own afflictions, you speak of the faults. Okay, now, a practical advice that we have mouth, we talk, and what we talk usually, we talk nonsense. We keep judging on other people, and these are things that happen intentionally, unintentionally, right? So if we're not skilled, unintentionally, we talk bad things about other people. 32. If compelled by your own afflictions, you speak of the faults of other bodhisattvas, you yourself will degenerate. This is something that we need to be extremely careful. You yourself will degenerate. Make sure that what you utter is by no means to offend others. Therefore, never citing the faults of those who have entered the Mahayana path, meaning those who have generated the Bodhicitta, who practice the Bodhicitta, who practice wisdom of emptiness, not to cite the faults of these practitioners is a practice of a Bodhisattva, because say you may backbite just an ordinary person versus you backed by the Bodhisattva. Backed by the Bodhisattva, you accumulate so much of severe negativities, and the karmic consequence can be so severe that you may not meet with the Dharma again. You may not meet with the Bodhicitta practice again in the future easily. Okay. So these are something that we really need. These are the advice given. So, we should be extremely careful. 33. Okay. Desire for gain and service. Again, the ill-worldly concerns. How they can they destroy us. Desire for gain and services leads to mutual arguments. And activities of listening, reflecting, and meditating decline. Yes. Therefore, to relinquish attachment to the households of friends, relatives, and benefactors is a practice of a bodhisattva. It doesn't mean that you have no friends. There's not the connotation. Just craving to have friends, craving to have, just to craving, and craving for your family and to fight against others. And then the say where you get the benefit, and then the feeling hatred towards others who would otherwise harm you to get these benefits. So these are very dangerous. In fact, and this reminds me of one of my friends whose father, last time I shared this anecdote with you, and is amazing. The person, he went to the father, and the father told him that they were running one Hindu ashram, and the father told the son that the ashram, by no means ashram should accumulate wealth, should not accumulate wealth. Where the wealth is accumulated, all the bad people will be attracted, and they will become the trustees. Right? So when the wealth is not there, all these bad people will quit, will all run away, and the ashram will become peaceful. This is amazing. The advice. So, desire for gain and service leads to mutual arguments. All the arguments start. And activities of listening, reflecting, and meditating decline. Yes. Finally, why do we need services? Why do we gains and so forth? So that I'll be happy. Real happiness is through study, reflection, meditation, and bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness. And if these decline, you are actually looking for happiness, which will never happen, which actually attract more miseries. This is unwise. So therefore, to relinquish attachment to the households of friends, relatives, and benefactors is the practice of a bodhisattva. And oftentimes, I meet with people who tell me that, okay, Geshe, because of me coming to Dharma, then my friends, they run away, they turn away from me. Now I have no friends. Don't feel lonely. Don't feel sad over this. This is amazing. You are very fortunate. So the people who are otherwise going to drag you deeper and deeper in samsara, they're letting you go. They're not letting you suffer more in samsara. This is so good. You should feel happy about it rather than feeling sad. So the Buddha taught that if possible, go with good companions. If not, go by yourself. Go on your own rather than going with bad companions. This is advice. So precious advice. 34. Keep watch of your words. Keep watch of your words. Be watchful of your words. What you utter. Harsh words disturb the minds of others and degenerate the bodhisattva's conduct. Therefore, to give up harsh and unpleasant speech towards others is a practice of a bodhisattva. Same, charity begins at home. Start from home. Let's start from home. Stop shouting at your mother. Stop shouting at your husband. Stop shouting at your wife. Stop shouting at your children, parents. Stop shouting that. And then using harsh words, just stop all these things. There's always a way by which finding harsh words for what? So the other person can listen, other person will listen to you. They will not listen to you if you use harsh words. And it will be counterproductive. Whereas you convey the same message in a very, say gentle way. Sometimes people don't listen to you if you're too gentle. Then you can be a little assertive without giving into anger. Without giving into anger, be a little assertive and see how it works. Okay. 34. Harsh words disturb the minds of others and degenerate a bodhisattva's conduct. Therefore, to give up harsh and unpleasant speech towards others is a practice of bodhisattva. 35. Once you become accustomed to afflictions, they're hard to undermine with antidotes. What we become addicted to the afflictions. Therefore, with the remedial weapons of mindfulness and introspection, to forcefully eliminate afflictions such as attachment, the moment they arise is the practice for bodhisattva. So the tips given by Bodhisattva Tome Sammo in the passages, we apply them. The moment the afflictions arise, we apply these so that we can build a new trend or new tendency of staying away from afflictions. 36. In brief, okay, this is a summary. In brief, wherever you are and whatever you do, always examine the state of your mind. Continuously working for the welfare of others is a practice of a bodhisattva. Okay, so the final benchmark is that wherever you are and whatever time, whatever place, with whomever, whatever your age and so forth, they just continuously observe your mind. Just keep observing your mind. Observing your mind. One, say identifying virtues, what is non-virtues. And then what is, say, self-grasping ignorance, and what is wisdom. Not necessarily wisdom, the precursors of the wisdom, or the preliminaries of wisdom, study, reflection, meditation. Self-grasping ignorance and compassion. Just see which of the mental state arises within me. This is one thing. And then they say, see that the true experience, see that these causal mental states like compassion, wisdom, study, reflection, the meditation, being in the good companion, so forth, how they give rise to happiness, and how the causal destructive factors like anger, ignorance, selfishness, and so forth, how they destroy your peace of mind, and at the end of the day you have nothing left to take away. So this is something to be observed constantly. With this in mind, what is the hallmark that you have used? Your life is going in the proper direction, or your life is not going in the proper direction. Is that as you grow older, as you mature in age, as you grow older, you become happier. This is a mark of your Dharma practice. As you grow older, say in your 20s, your hair is completely white. In some cases, one or two strain of white hairs come in 20s. And in 30s, more white hairs come. And then 40s. And 40s, still we think that we are young. But in those in 20s will kick you out from being young. But we think that we are young. In 40s. And then in 50s, you find it difficult to get up how you used to get up when you were young. So you don't have that flexibility. Then you realize, okay, I'm not that young. I'm getting older. Okay, 50s. Oh, half a century gone. Right? It's very scary to hear that. Half a century gone, 50s. Okay, then your grandchildren, right? And so your children, they're so busy, your grandchildren, and they will say, grandpa, grandma, right? Okay, so okay, I'm old. Okay. And then at one point, you call it grandchildren, they become very busy. And the parents, they're also a little busy, not as busy as your grandchildren, and you're alone, right? And then you miss your youth. Then when you meet your age group, you talk about when you're in your 20s. You miss your youth. If this happens, you feel lonely, you miss your youth as you grow older, this is the indication that we have wasted our life. So the point is that from today onwards, let us remember this. Okay, now as I grow older, I should make sure that I become happier, rather than sadder, and missing the youth. So this is a promise or the commitment that we need to make today. Okay, in this mind, 36. In brief, wherever you are and whatever you do, always examine the state of your mind, continuously working for the welfare of others is a practice of Bodhisattva. Finally, the benchmark is that in action, be as kind as possible to anyone. For your own well-being, not necessarily for others, for your own well-being. Be kind to other people. Be kind. Say something nice. Say something nice, right? Say, for example, somebody who's sick. Oh, you look weak. Why are you saying this? By saying that you look weak doesn't mean that the person will become healthier, right? And particularly if the person is young, very young, and say that you look weak, okay, I will try to, work harder to become more healthy. But then somebody is already, they suffering from some terminal illness, or somebody who's old, and then becoming weak. Why do you have to say this? These are all just carelessness or lack of skills. Acquire the skills. Don't exaggerate. Don't exaggerate. If it's the person a little slim, oh, so I wish I'm as slim as you. You look so nice, right? Say something positive. You don't say negative. Oh, you look weak. Oh, I have this problem. I have that problem. Oh, you have a problem. What problem? Problem will never end. Talk something positive. See how to make others happy. And whatever you learn, see how much you can share. Not that, okay, listen, I'm going to advise you. No. If an advice given, what have you learned from this text? What be the Geshe Thongme Sambo, whatever you learn from the Bodhisattva Geshe Thongme Sambo, you can share in a very skillful way, as long as you are sharing a story. Oh, I'm so inspired. There's a text by a Tibetan master, Geshe Thongme Sambo. So where he taught about how to stop our anger and how to observe our mind. This is a big lesson for me. When you say big lesson for me, other person understands it. Okay, this is something interesting. So you, in a way, you have already shared your knowledge with somebody else in a very skillful ways. So in other words, our job is just to see how much you can be as kind to other people to the best you can. And never ever think of harming others. Sometimes I can see that even people who are otherwise said to be in Dharma practice, Dharma, even when they come with a particular situation, they really try to destroy others. I could see that. Very sad, extremely sad. Even though you feel so sad, but never ever think of harming others. For your own benefit. And then in whatever little way, without expectation, see how much you can benefit others. This is so precious. So, 36. In brief, wherever you are and whatever you do, always examine the state of your mind and continuously working for the welfare of others is a practice of a Bodhisattva for your own well-being. Others are benefited and your compassion increases and your mind expands and your ease expands, your happiness expands, and eventually will expand to infinity, which is Buddhahood. 37. So now with all these teachings, they're given by the Bodhisattva Geshe Sampo, he's now dedicating the virtues. So dedicating the virtues, we see that looking at all the different sources, the standard sources, there are three most powerful the dedications. One, that the beings, all the sentient beings, be freed from suffering, have the maximum happiness. Number one, may all beings, by the merit that accumulated, be dedicated towards all the beings be freed from suffering, and that they have the maximum happiness. Number one. Then number two, to make it happen, it depends on the Buddha Dharma. May the Buddha Dharma flourish in every nook and corner of the universe for the benefit of beings. Number three, who's going to do that? Yeah, the others can do, but I am in my own hand. So I have the full authority with myself. I don't have authority for others or over others, but I have the authority with myself. So I will take the charge. I will become Buddha, that all beings are free from suffering and have the maximum happiness, and that the Buddha Dharma flourish in the universe, every nook and corner of the universe. I will become Buddha to make these two things happen. So these three are said to be the most powerful prayers of dedication. So 37. To dedicate the merits thus accumulated through these efforts towards enlightenment. So look, with a wisdom free of concept of three spheres, wisdom of emptiness, in order to eliminate the suffering of all infinite beings, is the practice of a bodhisattva. Okay, so now the concluding points. By relying on the words of genuine masters, I explain the meaning taught in sutras, tantras, and treatises in the form of these 37 practices of a bodhisattva to benefit those who wish to train on the bodhisattva path. Because my intelligence is less and my learning is meager, I lack linguistic skills to please the scholars. Yet since they are based on sutras and teachings of the genuine masters, I believe these practices of bodhisattvas are flawless. At times, particularly I would say that the Indian masters and Tibetan masters, they express the humility. They say that I don't know anything, I lack linguistic skills, I lack the scholarship and so forth. And the people may take it very literally. Don't take them literally. So this is deliberately to crush their ego. Deliberately. These are the practices. These are the great practice. This is real practice rather than the sophisticated tantra. These are the practice for us. These, if you can do this, say if you're with other people who are very egoistic, and can you say that, oh, I don't know anything, my knowledge is not so good. Can you say this? Right? When other people the egoistic, you also feel that yes, I know better than you, defeat us. So the ego is there. It's so difficult where you are so learned, you're so great, and then to crush the ego, this is a challenge. This is a real dharma. Okay, so then, and some people, and of course this is what I'm sharing with you, and some people, they take somebody else's praise and compliment so seriously. Don't take it. Don't be too unwise. Right? Some people they say that you sing a song and you have a terrible voice. A song is terrible, and somebody comes, oh wow, you have a wonderful voice, you can compete in you can go for the competition, right? And you took it very seriously. You go there, and then the judges, they said that, what are you doing? What is this song? And then you fight. No, my friend complimented me, said that I can win the competition, right? And then you fight with the judges. So this is what I've seen. Many people, of course, anybody, there's going to be, even if you are like the Mazad, there are people who are going to defame you. They're going to deprecate you. Even if you are like a hopeless singer, still there are people who are going to praise you. Don't take the praise too seriously. And on that basis, then you try to broadcast your praise, the praise that you get, compliment that you get from other people. That, okay, people say like this, that you are so good, like this. This is where your ego can be inflated. What inflates your ego, this is not Dharma, is non-Dharma. So we should be very careful. So the best thing is what was said by Sakya Pandita, great Tibetan master, amazingly brilliant intellectual, literary giant, and master. Sakya Pandita, what is that does? That saying, no matter, even if there are hundreds of people who would defame you, don't feel demoralized. Even if there are 100 people to praise you, don't feel excited. You should know your own knowledge. You should know yourself, your strengths, your weakness. If you know the definition of yourself, your strengths or your weakness, acknowledge them and not necessarily broadcasting your strengths. Oh, I'm good in this, I'm so good like this. This is a definition of a wise person. This is how Sakya explained it. So oftentimes people think been carried away by the false praises. We should be very careful. So look at these masters. They works like this. How many millions of people benefit from this text? And yet the humility that the author assumes, this is something great learning for us to learn from him. So what he said here is, because my intelligence is less and my learning is meager, I lack linguistic skills to please the scholars. Yet since they are based on sutras and the teachings of the general masters, I believe these practices of Bodhisattva are flawless. So, although he expresses humility, he's telling us that, but don't take it too seriously that these teachings are low in quality. No, they cannot be compromised. These teachings are of high quality, not from me, but they're coming from the great masters. Credit is given to the great masters, not taking the credit himself assuming humility. So this is what we learn from these masters. Nevertheless, since the vastness of the Bodhisattva conduct is difficult to fathom by someone like me with an inferior intellect, I pray to the genuine masters to consider with patience all my flaws such as contradictions, incoherence, and so forth. By virtue of the merit gathered here, and by the part of the convention, the ultimate Bodhicitta. Convention Bodhicitta is the Bodhicitta which wishes to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Ultimate Bodhicitta is the non-dual wisdom of emptiness of the Arya Bodhisattvas. Let me repeat it. Conventional Bodhicitta is the altruistic intention to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Ultimate Bodhicitta is the non-dual wisdom of emptiness of the Arya Bodhisattvas. May all sentient beings become like the benefactor Avalokiteshvara, who dwells neither in the extreme of samsara nor in that of the solitary peace. Okay. The Avalokiteshvara, who does not dwell in the extreme of samsara, meaning that we are in samsara, and samsara is so painful. This is one extreme of pain, and the other is the extreme of this selfish peace. That is the nirvana, personal nirvana, solitary peace. This is another extreme, two extremes. So avoiding the two extremes, these two extremes is known as the nirvana, known as non-abiding nirvana. What is non-abiding nirvana? Where you attain nirvana, the ultimate attainment, ultimate achievement, without being in the two extremes. No extreme in samsara, no extreme in the personal liberation, but the full awakening, Buddhahood. That is known as non-abiding nirvana. Nirvana where you don't abide in the two extremes of your existence. How you free yourself from samsara, extreme samsara? By the wisdom of emptiness. How you free yourself from the extreme of the personal or the solitary peace or personal nirvana? By the universal compassion, the great compassion. So these two, the wisdom and the great compassion, frees you from the two extremes of existence and make you attain the non-abiding nirvana. Okay, so with this in mind, the David Lam, if you don't mind, I would request you to turn to page number 216. What we read just thus far, this last line, we see this explained so well by the great saint Saraha. Page number 216. Page number 216 of the book, not the PDF. 216. Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, this is written by, so what we said right now, composed by, what we read right now, composed by Bodhisattva Geshe Sampo, saying, describing Aravalokiteshvara, that each one of us attain the state of Aravalokiteshvara, who does not dwell in the two extremes of our samsara and personal nirvana. So this is exactly said by the great master Saraha, who was also the teacher of great Aranigarjuna. So here it is. By entering into emptiness, the wisdom, but without compassion was a problem. One will not find the supreme path. You will be liberated you will be freed from samsara, but you will not attain the Buddhahood. This is one problem. By meditating upon compassion alone, without the wisdom, you will be in samsara. One will not attain liberation from samsara, but remain in samsara. Then if you have the two together, the wisdom and compassion together, the one capable of grasping the unity of the two will not remain in samsara, nor abide in personal nirvana. So where do these beings go? These beings attain the non-abiding nirvana. Okay, good. Okay, now we have 20 minutes question answers. Okay, any questions? Please raise hands. Particularly the Israelis. This is the Israelis. If the Israelis you don't have, then the other people, they will be so happy to throw questions. Right?
One question for Portugali, Geshe. One question for Portugali. Oh, wait.
Yes.
Allow unmute. Yeah. Neely, you can unmute.
Yes.
Hi. Thanks a lot for your precious, teachings that we listened for so many years from you. Now, no doubt that, if everybody would adopt what you're talking about worldwide, the world could be different. But obviously this is, for the long run, because it needs education, maybe since kindergarten, to accomplish that. Now, we are facing at the moment a very traumatic situation in Israel. As you know, October 7, there was, the terrorists invaded, innocent citizens in Israel and, burned children in front of the parents or raped or whatever, burned parents in front of the children. And we all know that, this is obviously, I think, a result of, the kind of brainwash these terrorists got since they are born. So this is the result. I mean, the textbook is not the textbook that you are reading to us. It's the textbook of Mein Kampf of Hitler that we just found in Gaza. Now, even Sinwar, who produced all this terror attack, got, a treatment in hospital in Israel when he was sick, and now he's holding our hostages under his tunnels in Gaza. So my question to you really is, what can be done now? First, of course, we want the hostages to come home. And secondly, to avoid any, terror attack that can have, or, any things that can happen to these citizens, the innocent Israeli citizens who live on the border. So it's a very practical question, but I mean, I appreciate everything, for the long run, but what can your suggestion or view can be done right now when we face this concrete situation? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nili. Thank you so much. Yes, these are very practical questions. The one is that they say immediate response, long-term response, and sometimes the immediate response and long-term response can also be like, say, the meeting They can be a common solution to the immediate and the long-term both. Sometimes some immediate, not necessary for long-term, some long-term, not necessary for immediate. So what should we do? This is a question. Number one is that I would say this first. Let me quickly explain the little bit related to the long-term, and also you will understand it. I would say as a nation, defense is very important. As a nation, for example, why Tibet was a problem. This is our mistake, our total mistake, and fully just engrossed in one thing and forgot that you have a nation. And we forgot that. This is our weakness. This is our weakness. Because of this, now the Tibetans, we end up in this situation. Very sad. So, as a nation, of course, the border is so important. And they say, we cannot blame your leaders. We cannot fully blame the others also, because if you have a very firm border, issues will not come. This is very important. When I first heard the news, I thought that, I know, I traveled to Israel, and then the border, I know what it is. So the border somehow, so for example, I remember the small monastery, the head of the monastery, he spent a lot of money on the border of the small monastery. And everybody was saying that you are shelling all the money that you have on the border to protect your monastery, and how can you construct the monastery? So he said that it doesn't matter, it'll happen. Later on, once the border meaning the compound for the monastery was done, very stable, no danger for, no ambiguity left. Others intruding in it is just amazing, so wise. This is one thing. So this from our mistake of Tibet, back since like 100 years, 200 years, 300 years ago. This was a mistake of Tibet. So now look at Tibet's situation. So pathetic. So the only great thing, two great things now Tibet has. One is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This is something so unique leader of the world. And the mistake is many generations of mistake. No, the border protection. No border security. This is a mistake, a heavy mistake. And then with Tibet, I would say that just be in the cocoon. That was a mistake. I'm Tibetan. I'm saying this. Being the cocoon, not being exposed to the outside world. So see, you should have seen what the outside world is doing. There was a big mistake made. So what Tibet is today is all because of that. So the mistake should not be repeated. Then number two is that, so this kind of problems, when will it stop? We can talk about the immediate measures, but we also have to think of the long-term measures. So for the common people, they think of the immediate measures. But people who are more thoughtful, who have the brilliance, you have a huge responsibility to think of the long-term measures. Don't just get caught up with the short-term measures. Because with the short-term measures, only people will look for the conflicts, fights. That is a consequence. Not only Israelis, so major, the big loss of lives and disasters. Likewise on the other side, how many millions of people are affected? We have to think of both. So this is the where something is wrong. Where lies the mistake? This is what we have to think of. So if this is how the short term, like small children, this is how they behave. This is how they behave. So, therefore, say a person who lives in a glass house should not throw stones. So, where, say, neighbors, we should think of how to live harmoniously. And how do we live harmoniously? If we don't know how to do that, we learn from others. Otherwise, that's just the immediate gratification. Immediate gratification can be adversely counterproductive in ways that in future other side can attack you, again you will attack them, there's ongoing onslaughts happening, very dangerous. So the common people and the more intelligent people should be looking for a long-term solution. This is so important. It's for this reason that His Holiness the Dalai Lama always says that the world is interdependent. World is interdependent, meaning that this is amazing. So earlier, I could not really understand this. I would say that His Holiness is too good, that he's thinking of, seeing the world as the children, his own children. So therefore, this is what he's saying. He's thinking of, creating happiness everywhere. And then now I see that yes, where where you don't think of the other side, anytime you become weak, you will be attacked. So what's the solution? Long-term solution we should really need to think of, particularly people like you who are more interested in the spiritual, which means that you are thinking of something broader than what the immediate measures, the gratification. So what the solutions His Holiness has proposed: universal ethics, modern education, produce today's leaders. When they say what today's leaders are is determined by the modern education. If the modern education is incomplete, the leaders will be incomplete. With leaders incomplete, the people will suffer. This is a reality. So now the leaders incompleteness in the thinking of the leaders, which means the education which produced them, that is incomplete. Incomplete in what way? Say, modern education is the legacy of the Industrial Revolution, where we require the physical energy, physical mind, and the brain to create sophisticated industries, sophisticated machines, so that mass production, no heart is not required. Mass production, that is a priority. Now is a very different time. His Holiness says that this is the problem. When the heart is missing, now all the wars are happening. This is where. So how can you blame these people when they are produced by an education system which does not involve the heart, which does not encourage the heart? So now His Holiness is proposing a system to complement this modern education with the education for the heart. Not only education of the brain, but education of the heart, side by side. So it is for this reason that His Holiness has proposed today the universal ethics taking the shape of social, emotional, ethical learning. And this for the world, not only for Tibet, not only for Buddhists, it's for the world. So the people who will be produced by this system will know how to embrace others with love and affection, will know how to give hands to others to lift the other person, and the other person will give you hands to lift you up from miseries. So this is what is lacking. As long as this is not happening, the world will continue to suffer like this, to and fro, to and fro, to and fro. This will continue to happen, and it will never come to an end. One day A will be the winner, B will be the loss. The next day, the B will be the winner, A will be the loss. For example, Tibet. In 7th century AD, Tibetan king Songtsen Gampo, he was so powerful that he invaded many parts of the Asia. And today, where is Tibet? Almost like even the word Tibet is going out of the globe. This is a reality. So therefore, if you resort to the violence, this is the consequence. There is never a permanent solution. There's never a resolution happening. Whereas if you can change the system which is responsible in producing the future generations, if that system becomes complete system to encourage brain development as well as heart development, then we can hope for a better peaceful world. This is one thing. Then the next thing, now the immediate measures. What should we do in immediate? For the immediate, I would say that whatever you think is good for the nation, do it, not encouraging more wars. Try to minimize the wars. One. Then in terms of yourself, same, instead of thinking about say the same, thinking about this constantly, instead of thinking about this constantly, think about something which will distress you. Only when you distress yourself, not to think too much about this. For example, like here in Tibet House during the COVID, there was the elderly lady here. And then the elderly lady was every day watching the news on COVID. She was so panicky. And I said that, and then she saw me, and she saw me that I was not panicky. So, Geshe, how come that you are not panicky? The world is like this. I said, what's the benefit of you becoming panicky? Are you happy becoming panicky? I'm very happy not becoming panicky. Are you happy becoming panicky? She said, no, right? You have to know the news. You have to know what's going around the world. But you don't want to make you panicky. How? Don't watch the news too much. Watch the news adequate enough to be well informed. Beyond this, don't try to disturb your mind too much. So likewise, it's so important for us to know what's going around. This is so important. Don't be too naive. Meanwhile, think of calming yourself down. If you are calm, people around you will be calm. Even though they are disturbed, they see you and they see that, okay, Nili is very calm, right? And Nili is naive. No, she's not naive. She knows what's going around, but she's very calm. How about the calm that she's able to maintain calmness? Because she's not going after all this information too much. She's more into know the information, plus do meditation, reading some materials to uplift yourself. So this is required. And then see how to encourage others also. Encourage others also to do a little bit of, be aware. This is very important. Don't be too naive. We have to know the reality. Know the reality well, and whatever the government instructs you to save, go for security, or the protect yourself, make sure that you take the appropriate measure to protect yourself. Meanwhile, don't don't let your mind go after these thoughts too much. Instead, do a little bit of meditation. What can be done? What can be done by yourself to give, at least to keep yourself calm and your family calm? That is so important. Good. More questions?
Yes, Geshe, we have a few questions in the chat, but we are going beyond our schedule, and we do want to be respectful of your time. So please let us know when we reach the limit. Okay, Geshe?
Yes.
Great. So we have a question from the Israeli audience from Elisheva, who asks, how do I know that I'm really compassionate?
Okay. How do I know that I'm very compassionate? For example, how do I know that, the electricity, how do you know that there's short circuit? How do you know that? You have to use a detector. You have to use the instruments to detect that, to check it. So likewise, the instruments means the knowledge. So likewise, to know whether you're really compassionate, you have to learn, you have to acquire these detectors to see, which can be used to check how good you are in your compassion. So with this in mind, compassion, there are various levels. You have to learn this information. Learn this and then see where you stand. To give you a very simple example, a small boy from a good family sees a beggar boy. Oh, mom, please help this boy, please help this boy. And the mom make you happy. I help the boy. And oh, mom, please adopt this boy. The mom adopts the boy. And okay, this is all out of compassion. But let us see, what is the level of the compassion of this boy? And then the boy has a brother now. That boy has a brother going to the same school. The mother gives the same uniform, same everything, tuition fee, everything same. And gradually, the beggar boy starts to outshine in the school. Everybody's talking about this boy all the time, and nobody's talking about you. And then they say gradually both of you graduate, and your mark is so low and your brother's mark is so high that everybody is saying, wow, it's amazing, you will get the admission in this university, that university, so forth. And your mother is also eager to give scholarship for your brother to be enrolled in the good university, most prestigious university. And whereas even if your mother is ready to give you scholarship to a good university, but your grade does not enroll you there. And then gradually, if the jealousy comes, your early compassion very shallow, although can be very intense, but very shallow. Now, wow, I'm so proud. Although I could not do that by my brother. Look, he's reached that level. I'm so proud of from my family. There's somebody there. If this is how you react to such a situation, where for a normal person it can trigger jealousy, but in your case you rejoice over the success of your brother. This is a real compassion. So these are the different tests given depending on the situation. Where more complex situations, you can retain your compassion not wavered. That is real compassion. Your compassion wavered, this is not a real compassion, it's a very shallow compassion. Good. Next question.
So, is there any questions from the Israeli audience before we move on to others? So, please raise your hand. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions from the Israeli audience, there's one question from Klim. Venerable Geshe, can you please explain the point of not criticizing bodhisattvas? We don't know who can secretly be a bodhisattva. What if people do or say something wrong? Shouldn't we examine others' behavior to some point? Can't it be just done respectfully and, for example, out of compassion to them and to the victims without blaming or getting angry?
Okay, this is a very good question. Thank you. This is a very good question. Not talking badly about a bodhisattva and talking badly about a bodhisattva degenerates your good qualities. So how do we know that other person bodhisattva or not? So yes, this is a very complicated issue. How do we know the other person bodhisattva? But the point is that what they clean? What is the name? Huh? Klim. Okay. So what Klim said is very true. Finally, whether the other person bodhisattva or not, this doesn't matter. What is important is that when you utter a word, number one, you are saying something or saying something negative about the other person. Number one, are you sure that what you said is true? Are you very confident that what you're saying is true? Then number two, by saying this, is there any benefit? Or you are saying this just for the sake of your fun? Number three, are you saying this out of good heart, out of compassion? If none of these three is, if something's one of these three is missing, don't utter a word. Even if it's true, but if the motivation within you is not compassionate, don't say this. You are destroying yourself, because it can be motivated by just taking pleasure in somebody else's suffering. This is very destructive, following a bodhisattva path. And they say, then even if you say this, and sometimes it is true, and the motivation is compassion, but there's no benefit in saying this. No benefit. Then you are in a way encouraging or implanting the seed of trivialities. Trivialities meaning that you are just, your mind is going to trivial things, no benefit, and still you say. So this is again a great waste of time. For example, we talk about the efficiency. Efficiency meaning all the trivial things should be sidelined. What is required, do it very effectively. This is meaning of the efficiency. Bodhisattvas must focus on the efficiency, not on the trivialities. So if any of these three things are missing, the best thing is stop uttering such things. Whereas, as Klim said, that if somebody having done something, said something which is so destructive, and it can really misguide many other people, mislead many people, out of such situation, out of compassion, and you're sure that it's misleading many people, is harming many people, then you see how you can, out of compassion for the people who are being misled and for the one who is misleading others, out of compassion, see how to effectively address this situation. That will not destroy your virtues. That will increase your virtues. Good. The next question.
We have a question from Thomas who says, Venerable Geshe-la, are not the verses 30 and 31 in contradiction with each other? Isn't analyzing one's faults same as conceptualizing them? After all, there's the one who's done wrong, the subject, the one towards whose the wrong has been done on, or the object of wrongship and the act of wrongdoing.
Okay, Thomas, do you want to speak directly? Because it's a long question. I'm not young as you. I'm old, so I cannot keep track of all the lines. Speak directly. I cannot hear you, Thomas. Okay, then we cannot do anything. Okay, David, would you mind reading it once more?
Yes. Are not verses 30 and 31 in contradiction with each other? Isn't analyzing one's faults same as conceptualizing them? After all, there is the one who's done wrong, the subject, the one towards one has done wrong, or the object of wrongdoing and the act of wrongdoing.
Okay, conceptualizing here and thinking about analyzing your own faults, and analyzing your own faults and conceptualization. So these two don't remember the story. Emails without attachment. Don't forget the story. The same label with the different meanings. So here, non-conceptualization here is talking about the wisdom of ultimate analysis. Ultimate analysis, which analyzes the ultimate reality, not the conventional reality. The mind which looks for ultimate analysis will not conceptualize the conventional realities. This means of the non-conceptualization here in this context. Whereas analyzing your own faults, this is done on the conventional level. Say, this conventional, the truth. So the analysis that you employ is a conventional analysis. It is not ultimate analysis. So there's no contradiction. Good. Any more questions?
I think, Geshe-la, that there are a couple of questions that were sent directly to Tibet House chat, so perhaps...
Okay, don't worry. We still have time before the next class. Quickly, you can read one or two questions, because otherwise we'll not meet again.
They were sent to Tibet House chat, so I don't have them. If Tibet House would like to...
Okay, so...
If you like to send them to me, I will read them.
So actually, the staff is checking it. There. Okay, no question. No question. Only the question by Thomas. That's it.
Oh, okay, great. So we already addressed it. Great.
Yes. Ah, yeah, that's it. Okay, I was expecting more questions, but no questions. No question is good news. No news is good news. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, as what we did yesterday, we will recite the Medicine Buddha mantra for the successful knee treatment of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, because the disciples, if we accumulate merit, this will have a great benefit. So, with this mind, let's recite visualize the Medicine Buddha on your crown, and then surrounded by all Buddhas. Actually, Buddha Shakyamuni manifested in the form of Medicine Buddha on a crown, and then sending nectars to encourage all the beings to accumulate merit, that the root guru, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is the sun of the whole world today. That His Holiness live long, and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously, and more precisely, that the surgery, that the medical treatment to be received by His Holiness will be a successful one. Teyata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teyata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teyata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teyata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teyata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga this Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Teata Om Begaze Maha Begaze Ranza Samunga de Swaha. Okay, Devida will do the end declaration prayer.
Of course, Geshe, just a minute before we do it, I just want to have a couple of short acknowledgements, if it's okay, and
Yes.
say thank you to everybody. Of course, to you, which I will say again, and also to all volunteers in Dharma Friends of Israel who made this meeting possible. Thank you, Ben, for arranging and co-hosting this teaching. Many thanks to Tibet House for their dedicated work that enables so many around the world to enjoy Geshe-la's teachings. So thank you so much. Thank all participants for joining this session and for your support of our Dharma activities. And lastly, of course, Geshe-la, thank you so much on behalf of Dharma Friends of Israel and all participants. I really like to express our deepest gratitude to you for inspiring us with this wonderful teaching, and also for being here with us and supporting us in these difficult and troubled times. So thank you so much, Geshe-la. And we really are hoping to receive teachings from you in person in Israel as soon as circumstances and conditions will allow. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, David La. Thank you so much, David La. And Ben La, thank you. Ben La making all this, a request coming from the months ago. And David La, I see that every year you are there coordinating this program, and Shahala, my very dear friend, and the Leorella and Gilala, many years of our friendship, and the all my friends here. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. And yes, we all pray that the situation in Israel, Palestine, that it resolve, it mitigates, resolve, and that everybody can breathe freshly, and eventually, long term, that the problems will come to resolve in a very peaceful way, that everybody will be the product of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's the vision of the universal ethics, and everybody there, all the borders will be removed, and everybody holds hands of each other to support each other in the spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. So let's all pray for that. Not only think of this generation, let us think about the many more future generations also. Okay, thank you, David Lam. Now the prayers
and dedicational prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness,
good,
all powerful, generously cleansing Yatsu. Please remain until samsara ends. Just as a brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Jangchuk Sam Chokrim Puche Ma Ke Panam Ke Gurchik Ke Panyam Palme Payam Gomne Gondu Pelwar Shui. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not a reason arise and grow, and may that which has a reason not diminish but increase forevermore. By the dependent realization of profound suchness of appearance and emptiness, together with the force of great compassion of the 3 jewels and the power of the truth, and the virtue of infallible law of karmas and their fruits, may these truthful prayers of ours be unhindered and quickly fulfilled. May the teachings of the Beneficent One till world's end be unshaken by the winds of evil thoughts. May it always be met by innumerable beings who find conviction in the teachings by understanding the teaching's true nature. May I never falter for even an instant to uphold the excellent way of the sage, which illuminates the principles of dependent origination throughout all my birth, even giving away my body and life. May I spend day and night carefully reflecting by what means can I enhance these teachings achieved by the Supreme Savior through strenuous effort over countless eons. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teaching on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the path. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. And we'll recite the Heart Mantra Sutra, the Heart Sutra mantra 3 times. Teata Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattvata Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattvata Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattvata. Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Tibet House, Dharma Friends of Israel, everybody. See you all soon, I hope.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, everyone.